minus 9. So whenever making a letter the subject, what we need to do, we need to make it alone on one of the sides of the equal sign, okay? So the first thing we have to do, we have to make A alone. It's going to add 9 on both sides. When you add 9 on both sides, you're going to end up with P plus 9 is equal to 3A, okay? And then, once you have P plus 9 is equal to 3A, since you want to make A alone, you want to have A on its own, you're now going to divide by 3 on both sides to get rid of its coefficient. Divide by 3 on both sides, and then it's going to be P plus 9 over 3 is equal to A, and that is going to be A as the subject of the formula. And then whenever you're writing the subject of the formula, make sure that the letter you're making the subject of the formula is on the left-hand side. So you're going to write it as A is equal to P plus 9 is over 3, okay? And that will be the subject. That will be your answer. So A as the subject of the formula. This question was worth 2 marks in total. So, moving on to our next question, we have question number 2. Rob has been asked to divide 120 in the ratio 3:5. Here is his working. Rob's working is not correct. Describe what Rob has done wrong. What has Rob done wrong? So he did 120 divided by 3, and then he did 120 divided by 5. So what has he done wrong? In the chat, tell me, what has he done wrong? What has he done wrong? You guys should know this because you should know how to share ratios, basically. This is the year 2022, I think. 2022. So, basically what he did wrong, he was supposed to, first of all, find out what one part was. So, this is 8 parts. He was first supposed to do 120 divided by 8 to get to 120 divided by 8. So we're going to do 8 over 120, divide that. And then he would have gotten 15. And then he was supposed to do 15 times 3 and share it into the ratio, okay? So that is what he was supposed to do. But he didn't do that. So what we're going to write, he should divide by 8 first. He should divide by 8 first. And that will literally give you the mark. That is the mistake he did, okay? He's supposed to divide by 8 first, and then times it by the two ratios. So times it by 3, and then times it by 5, and that will give you your answer. And that is worth 1 mark. So give a thumbs up in the chat if you understand and are ready to move on to our next question. And guys, do not forget to follow ID Live every single day so you don't want to miss it out. So, we have question number 3. 200 students choose one language to study. Each student choose one language from French or Spanish or German. Of the 200 students, 90 are boys and the rest of the students are girls. 70 choose Spanish. 60 of the 104 students who choose French are boys. 18 girls choose German. Work out how many boys chose Spanish. So for this question, you know that we have to draw a type of table. Does anyone know what type of table we are supposed to draw for this question? What type of table are we supposed to draw? There is a specific type of table you have to draw to answer this question. Yes, well done, Philip. It has to be the two-way table. The two-way table. So for the two-way table, you're going to have boys here and girls over here. And then we're going to have French. We have the 3 languages, which is French, Spanish, or German. So we have French, Spanish, and German. And remember, we have our total at the end as well. So total over here and total at the end. So, total like that. So now, once you have done that, I think it doesn't fit on my page, so I'm going to have to just write the initials. So I'm going to write the initials. So it's going to be F for French, S for Spanish, G for German, and then the total, okay? And that's when you're doing it, write French, Spanish, and German. Or you can write whatever. This is a working out, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So then we draw our lines like that. It's going to be our total one. And then like that. So that is our nice two-way table. So now, once we have done that, what we need to do now is fill in our two-way table. So we know that there are 200 students in total. Now, since there are 200 students in total, we're going to put our 200 over here. 200 over here, okay? And now once we have done that, that's our total. And then it says 90 are boys and the rest of the students are girls. We know that 90 boys are in total. If there are 90 boys in total, you know that's going to go hit into 90 total. So if 90 boys are in total. And then if you know that there are 90 boys in total, we can work out the number. We can work out the number of girls in total. So in the chat, can you tell me what is the number of girls if you know that there are 90 boys and there are 200 girls altogether? What is going to be the number of girls? Yes, it's going to be 110. And now once we have done that, now we can look at our next statement. So we're going to tick that. Now it says 70 chose Spanish. We know that 70 students altogether chose Spanish. We're going to put 70 over here. That's the Spanish column over here. We've done that. Let's put a tick there. And then we have 60 out of the 104 students who chose French are boys. So we know that the total is 104, the students that chose French. And then we know that 60 are boys. So in the chat, can you tell me how many girls chose French if there are 60 boys and there are 104 students that chose French altogether? Yes, well done. It's going to be 44. 44 girls chose French. And then once you've done that, put a tick there. And then it says 18 girls chose German. So we know that 18 is going to go over here in the German section over here, 18 over here. And now once we have done that, we have literally put every single information we are given into our two-way table. And now once we have done that, what we're going to do now, we're going to fill in our missing gaps. So now we're going to fill in this one over here, the total for the Germans. So we're going to do 200 minus 104 minus 70. Remember, you can use a calculator. This is paper-free calculator. So it's going to be 26, okay? This is paper-free calculator, higher tier. I know, guys, that tomorrow is one of your mocks for paper-free. That's why I'm doing it before. Okay? That's why I'm doing it. So now, once you have done that, now you can work out what this is. Spanish, how many girls chose Spanish? Do 110 minus 18 minus 44 in your calculator. You'll get 48. And then once you've done that, you can work out this by doing 70 minus 48. 22 over here. And then you can work this one out, which will be 8. And now our final question says, we have to work out how many boys chose Spanish. So I've drawn this for you. So in the chat, tell me how many boys chose Spanish. You guys should know how to read a two-way table. How many boys chose Spanish in the chat? Yes, well done. It is 22. We know that we're looking at the boys column. First of all, we know that we're going to be looking at the boys column. The boys column is over here. And we know that how many boys chose Spanish is going to be this box over here. It's going to be 22. It's going to be 22. Okay? And that will be your answer. Guys, this is a 3-mark question. And if you did not draw the two-way table, you won't get the full marks. The two-way table is worth 2 marks in total. And then your answer is worth 1 mark. Okay? This is worth 1 mark. So you have to draw the two-way table. There's no other way of doing it. So let's move on to our next question. And guys, do not forget to follow. I do live every single day. So let's go to question number 4. So Karina has 4 tanks on her tractor. Each tank is a cylinder with a diameter of 18 centimeters and a height of 160 centimeters. The 4 tanks are to be filled completely with a mixture of a fertilizer, and water. The fertilizer has to be mixed with water in the ratio 1:100 by volume. Karina has 32 liters of fertilizer. 1 liter is equal to 1,000 centimeter cubed. Has Karina enough fertilizer for the 4 tanks? So, has Karina got enough fertilizer for the 4 tanks? That question has very bad grammar in it. But anyways, so the first thing I have to do, we know that to work out the volume of a cylinder, we have to know the formula first of all. So the volume of a cylinder, to work out the volume of a cylinder, is pi r squared, which is the cross section, and then times it by the height, like that. That is the formula to find the volume of a cylinder. You guys should know that. Now, once we have done that, now what we're going to do, we're going to substitute our values into our formula to find the volume of our cylinder. So it's going to be pi and then the radius. Now, if our diameter is 80 centimeters, then our radius is going to be half our diameter. So half of 80 is going to be 40. So it's going to be 40 squared, and then times it by the height, which we already given in the question, which is 160 centimeters. And now once we have done that, now we can work out the volume of our cylinder, which is going to be 256,000 pi. Okay? We're going to leave it in terms of pi right now, unless we get into decimals. Okay? I'm going to leave it in terms of pi. So let me quickly fix the pi sign. It's looking a bit weird. So now, once we have done that, now what we're going to do is that we know that there are 4 tanks that need to be filled, okay? 4 tanks has to be filled. So the most logical thing to do now is to multiply this volume by 4, because it's going to be 4 lots of that volume. It's going to be 4. Since there are 4 tanks, we're going to do 4 times 256,000 pi, which is going to be equal to 3. Oh, you do into calculator. This is a calculator paper. You're going to use your calculator for this. We're going to get into big numbers now. It's going to be 3,216,990.877 centimeter cubed. Okay, centimeter cubed. It's going to be a long number, so you make sure you write every single thing in your calculator display. Okay. And now, once we have done that, what we need to do, we're now going to make this centimeter cubed in terms of liters. We're now going to convert the centimeter cubed into liters. Does anyone know how we convert the centimeter cubed into liters? How do we convert 3,216,990 into liters? It's not multiplied by 1,000. It's the opposite. If you're close, it's the opposite. What do we do? Is going to be divided by 1,000. Remember, you are given this in your question. We know that 1 liter is equal to 1,000 centimeter cubed. You're going to divide by 1,000. So we're going to do 3,216,990 divided by 1,000 to get to 3,216.99 liters. So now we got it into liters. That is how many liters we need. Now, it says Karina has 32 liters of fertilizer. She has 32 liters of fertilizers. Now, we need to work out how many liters of fertilizer she actually needs. So, what we need to do is to share this into the ratio. So, we know that there is 101 parts in total. 101 parts to the ratio. We're going to work out what is one part of the ratio to work out how much fertilizer she actually needs. So we're going to do 3,216.99 divide it by 101 to work out one part, and that one part is going to be the amount of fertilizer she needs. And when you do that, that's going to give you 31.85 liters for one part. For one part. Now you got that. It says Karina has 32 liters of fertilizer. Has Karina got enough? Has Karina got enough? In the chat, tell me yes or no. Has Karina got enough? And your answer is right in front of you, just to let you know. Yes, I added the ratio. So we do 100 plus 1. We do 100 plus 1, which will give you 101 parts. Are you sure? Are you sure it's no? It's actually yes. She has enough. She has enough. It's because she has 32 liters of fertilizer. She has 32 liters of fertilizer, but she actually needs 31.85 liters. It is yes. She has more than she needs. She has a 0.15 more than she needs, okay? She has more. So the answer is yes. Okay, the answer is yes, okay? The answer is yes. Remember, guys, you do not have to multiply it by 4. No, we already multiplied it by 4, guys. Over here in our previous step before, we already multiplied it by 4 to get its volume. That's why we don't multiply by 4 in the end, okay? She has an extra 0.15 liters. She has an extra 0.15 liters. She needs 31.85 liters of fertilizer, but she has 32 liters instead, okay? She has extra. So the answer is yes. This is for one part. I wrote one part here. This is the higher tier. It is the higher tier, guys. So yeah, let's move on to our next question. So this is just the volume of a cylinder and doing some worded questions, okay? Triangle ABC and triangle DEF are similar. Work out the length of EF. So we need to work out the length of EF. So EF is this one right here. So since these two are similar, these two shapes are similar, we know that to go from this shape to this shape, what do we do? To go from 5 to 20, you're multiplying by 4. To go from this shape to this shape, you are multiplying by 4. So if we go to go from 4 to this one over here, going to multiply by 4. Going to do 4 times 4, which is going to be 16. Well done, guys. It's going to be 16 centimeters. That is going to be our answer. Very, very simple. 16 centimeters. So now, part B is that we have to work out the length of AB. AB is this side over here. So AB is this one over here. So what is it going to be? We know that we're multiplying by 4 this way. So we have to do the opposite when we're going the other way around. So we have to divide by 4 when we're going this way. We're going to do 22 divided by 4. 22 divided by 4, which will get you 5.5. 5.5 centimeters is going to be answer. And guys, remember, you can use a calculator. It's paper free. You can use a calculator. It's going to be 5.5 centimeters. That's the easiest 4-mark question, guys. The easiest 4-mark question. You cannot get this question wrong. Literally. You can't get this wrong. Why are we dividing by 4? It's because to get from this shape, to get from 5 to 20, you multiply by 4. Now to go the other way around, you just do the opposite. You divide by 4. Okay? So it's 2 marks for the part A and it's 2 marks for part B, which adds up to 4 marks. Okay? So give a thumbs up in the chat if you're ready to move on to our next question. This is higher paper. So let's go. So one weekend, the Keddy family is going to do a sports quiz and a music quiz. The probability that the family will win the sports quiz is 0.3, and the probability that the family will win the music quiz is 0.35. Complete the probability tree diagram. So we know that probabilities add up to 1, right? Probabilities add up to 1. That's the number one rule you need to know. So if the probability of winning is 0.3, then in the chat, tell me what is going to be the probability of not winning the sports quiz if we know that probabilities add up to 1. If probabilities add up to 1, it's going to be 1 minus 0.3, which is going to be 0.7. So we got that. And now it's going to be the same process over here. Going to do 1 minus 0.35, which is going to be 0.65 over here. Not winning the music quiz is going to be the same over here. We completed our probability tree diagram very, very simply. And now, it says work out the probability that the Keddy family will win both the sports quiz and the music quiz. So what it's saying is going to win the sports quiz and then it's going to win the music quiz. Okay? So what we do, whenever we're doing this type of question, you're going to multiply across. So you got what? The probability of winning the sports quiz is 0.3. And then the probability of winning the music quiz is 0.35. So you multiply these two probabilities together and you would get, I'm going to write it as a fraction. You can write it as a decimal if you want. I'm going to get 21 over 200. So you can write it as a, what do you call it, decimal as well. But I'm going to write it as a fraction. 21 over 200. Okay? And that will be your answer. You can write the decimal equivalents as well. Can you write it as a percentage? No. I wouldn't write probability as a percentage. I'll only write it as a decimal or a fraction. In this question, it's written as a decimal, so probably you should write it as a decimal. But I wouldn't advise you to write it as a percentage. Just write it as a fraction or a decimal. But you are technically allowed to write it as a percentage, but just write it as a fraction or a decimal. This is paper-free calculator, so you can use a calculator. So, change 8,000 centimeter cubed to meter cubed. Now, so what we need to do, we know that in 1 meter cubed, in 1 meter cubed is equal to 100 centimeters times by 100 centimeters times by 100 centimeters. That is 1 meter cubed equal to, okay? That is what a 1 meter cubed is equal to, okay? You write this over here. That is 1 meter cubed is equal to 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters. I'm just writing this, then you know why I'm going to divide it by a million. You're going to know why I'm going to divide it by 1 million. And that is the same as saying 1 million, okay? 1 million centimeters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centimeter cubed. So we know that 1 meter cubed is equal to 1 million centimeter cubed. Okay? We know that 1 meter cubed is equal to 1 million centimeter cubed. Now, once we have done that, what we're going to do to convert from centimeter cubed to meter cubed, we have to divide by 1 million. So we're going to do 8,000 divided by 1 million, which will get you 0.008 meter cubed, and that will be your answer. Okay? So now, once we have done that, now it says change a speed of 180 kilometers per hour to meters per second. So I'm going to write it, okay? I'm going to write it down. So what we're going to do, we know that it is it's going to be 100. We're going to convert 180 kilometers into meters. We know that 180 kilometers is 180,000 meters per hour, okay? And now once you've done that, now I'm going to convert this hour into seconds. So first you would divide by 60. I'm going to do it step by step, divide it by 60. And then once you've done that, divide by 60. You're going to get 3,000 meters per minute. Then divided by 60 again to get into seconds. You're going to get 50 meters per second. Now once you've got 50 meters per second, and that's basically your answer. 50 meters per second. This question over here, you're not supposed to divide by 1,000. If you divide by 1,000, it is wrong. It says convert centimeter cubed to meter cubed. It's cubed. It is different. It's 3 lots of the centimeters, okay? It's because I wrote it down over here. It says I wrote that 1 meter cubed is equal to 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters. And then that is the same as saying 1 million centimeter cubed. So we know that in 1 meter cubed, there is approximately 1 million centimeter cubes, okay? And then that's what you divided by 1 million. You have to look at the symbols and you have to look at the powers as well, okay? Look at the powers as well. So moving on to our question number 8. There are 30 women and 20 men at a gym. The mean height of all 50 people is 167.6 centimeters. The mean height of the 20 men is 182 centimeters. Work out the mean height of the 30 women. So the first thing we have to do, we have to work out the total height of all the 50 people. We have to work out the total height of all the 50 people. So what we're going to do to work out the total height, of 50 people, we're just going to do 167.6 centimeters times by 50 to get the total height. So 167.6 times by 50, which will get you 8,380 centimeters. Now this is the total height of all 50 people, okay, added together. Now once you have done that, now we can work out the total height of the men. To work out the total height of men, you already given the mean height for the men, you can easily work out the total height for the men. To work out the total height of men, it's going to be just 20 times 182. So we're going to multiply them together to get 3,640 centimeters. And that is the total height of the men. And now what we're going to do, now we're going to work out the total height of the woman. To work out the total height of the woman, to total height of woman is going to be equal to the total height of all 50 people, which is 8,380, minus the total height for the men, which is 3,640, and you'll get 4,740, okay? That is the total height for the woman. And then finally, once you have done that, now what we can do is that we have to work out the mean height of the 30 women. So guys, tell me, what do we do next? What is going to be our next step to work out the mean? What do we do to work out the mean? You're going to do 4,740. So the total height for the woman divided by 40. So well done, guys. 30, divided by 30. Which is going to be 158 centimeters. And that is going to be your answer. The total, that's going to be the mean height of the woman. This question was worth 3 marks in total, guys. 3 marks. 3 marks in total. So, Moving on to our next question. Why do we divide by 30? Because we know that there are 30 women altogether. There are 30 women altogether to work out the mean. The total divided by the number of people. That's how you would do it. So this is, I think this is paper 20. This is paper 3, 2021 or 2022. Okay. Why do we subtract? Why do we subtract? Is because we need to work out the total height of the woman. We know that the total height of all the people added together is 8,380. You subtract it by the total height of the men to work out the total height of the woman. Okay? That's why we subtract. So let's move on to our next question. Question number 9. So we have to write 6.75 times 10 to the power negative 4 as an ordinary number. So there are two ways to do this. You can either move the numbers to the right 4 times, or you can move the decimal place to the left 4 times. So I think I'm going to move the decimal place to the left. So I'm going to add some zeros over here. Move the decimal place to the left, so 4 times is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Decimal place is going to go there. And then you can write your ordinary number. It's going to be 0.000675. And then that's going to be your answer. Or what you also can do is you can literally write this into your calculator, and then this will literally give you your answer. Your calculator will put it into your calculator, and then it will literally give you the answer. So now, once we have done that, now part B. So you have to work out 2.56 times 10 to the power 10 to the power 6 times 4.12 times 10 to the power negative 3 over 1.6 times 10 to the power negative 2. So basically what you have to do is you have to put it into your calculator first of all. Exactly how it is. Put it into your calculator. Once you have done that, you will get 659,200. And now, we have to write this in standard form. Writing this as standard form. We know that whenever we're writing standard form, it's going to be in the form a times 10 to the power of n. Okay? Now, well, this term over here, it has to be between 1 and 10. So it's going to have to be 6.592 times 10 to the power of something. Now, can someone tell me what is going to be our power in our standard form? If it's 6.592 times 10 to the power of something, what is our power going to be? It is going to be a 5. Well done, guys. It is going to be a 5. And I'm going to write a final answer. It's going to be 6.592 times 10 to the power of 5. Well done, guys, for getting that correct. That was a 3-mark question. So, let's move on to our next question. So, Peter has to subtract x squared minus 2x minus 4 from x squared plus 2x plus 5. Here is his working. So he did x squared plus 2x plus 5 minus x squared minus 2x minus 4. And then he did this. He basically took out the bracket and then he simplified it. So the thing is, his working out is correct, but I think he did something wrong over here. So what did he do wrong? So if you do x squared minus x squared, you will cancel these two out. And then 3x plus minus 2 is going to be x. And then 5 minus 4 is going to be 1. So what he did wrong is that he did not take away the minus 2x. He did not take away the minus 2x. So the answer is he did not take away the negative 2x and negative 4, it should be, the answer, it should be x squared so the answer should be x squared plus 3x plus 5 minus x squared plus 3x plus 2x minus plus 4. Okay, that's going to be our correct form because he wrote negative and negative here. It's not supposed to be a negative, it's supposed to be a plus. Okay. Now let's move on to our next question. Now it says x and y are integers such that 3 is less than x and x is less than 8 and then 4 is less than y and y is less than 10 and x plus y is equal to 14. It says find all the possible values for x. Find all the possible values of x. So what we need to do is that we know that all the numbers that, so can in someone in the chat list all the numbers that can be x. What all the possible values for x. So we know that it's going to be 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's all the possible values for x. And then for y, it's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now, once we have done that, it says find all the possible values of x. And it says x plus y is equal to 14. X plus y is equal to 14. So when do they add to 14? So it's going to be, we can do 5 plus 9. 5 plus 9 will give you 14. And 6 plus 8 will also give you 14. Not times, it's going to be plus 8, it's going to give you 14. And 7 plus 7 will also give you 14. So there's only 3 values of x which add to y, to give you your 14, okay? You only ask for the value of your x, so it's going to write, finally, let's write 5, 6, and 7. We do not care about our y's, don't care about these values, we only care about this. Let's list them up, 5, 6, and 7. You cannot add anything with 4 to get you 14. You cannot add anything with 4 to get to 14. So it's going to be 5, 6, and 7. Okay? So basically that will be your answer. So give a thumbs up in the chat if you understand. So that's good. Let me move down. So Martin uses his calculator to work out the value of the number p. He wrote down the first 2 digits of the answer on his calculator. He wrote down 1.2. Complete the error interval for p. So he completed the error interval for p. Remember, guys, he did not round this. He did not round this one. It says he wrote down the first 2 digits of the answer on his calculator. He did not round this, okay? He did not round this. He truncated this, okay? He truncated this. So what this just means is that he basically, it was 1 point, the answer was something, it was 1 point something something. He just took this 1.2 value and just wrote it down, okay? So what was the values of our p? It's going to be between 1.2 and 1.3. Remember, he truncated this. He didn't round this. He did not round this, okay? He did not round this. He just looked at the 2 numbers. It says he wrote down the first 2 digits of the answer on his calculator. Okay? So his answer was probably like 1.2573. He just looked at the 2 numbers, these 2 numbers, and he just wrote that down. Okay? He didn't round this. He just took the first 2 numbers and put it down. Okay? And then now we have to just write the error interval for that. Okay? So guys, always read the question properly. Always read the question properly. That's my golden rule. Read the question properly. So I hope you get that now. So moving on to our next question. So Chen has this information about the time that it took an operator at a call center to answer each of 90 calls. So we have a cumulative frequency table, and he has also drawn the graph. So it says Chen draws this cumulative frequency graph for the information in the table. Write down 2 different things that are wrong with this graph. 2 different things that are wrong with this graph. First of all, yes, the first thing which is wrong is that he plotted the midpoints. He plotted the midpoints. He's supposed to plot the endpoints. So he used the midpoints instead of endpoints. That's one of the reasons. And now the other reason is very, very obvious. Look at this graph carefully. Do not look at this. No, what is missing over here? What is missing over here, guys? I highlight this area. What is missing over here? What is missing over there? What is supposed to be there? Yes, there is no label for the horizontal axis, so the x-axis. So there is no label for x-axis, which is supposed to be time in seconds, okay? I'm going to write time. And that's going to be 2 mistakes that he did. Okay? So I wrote he used the midpoints instead of the endpoints. It's because whenever you're drawing a cumulative frequency graph, you're supposed to use the endpoints, these points over here. So you're supposed to use 10, 20, 30 instead of the midpoints, okay? So, moving on to our next question. So we have to simplify fully 3x to the power of 5. I'm going to write this a bit bigger, so 3x to the power of 5, and y to the power of 6 to the power of 4. So, this is a very, very simple question. So the first thing we're going to do 3 to the power of 4. What is 3 to the power of 4, guys? Going to do 3 to the power of 4. What is 3 to the power of 4? 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is going to be 81. Yes, well done, Philip. Well done, Ramsey. It's going to be 81. And then when we have 2 powers together, we're going to do 5 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20. It's going to be x to the power of 20. And then it's going to be y. It's going to be 6 times y. It's going to be 6 times 4. It's going to be y to the power of 24. Yes, you multiply the powers together, and that is going to be your answer. This is a calculator. This is a calculator paper. But when you're working with indices and algebra, I don't think a calculator comes in hand. So, now it says expand and simplify x plus 2, x minus 3, and x plus 4. This is expanding triple brackets. Expanding triple brackets. So basically, to expand triple brackets, what you usually do is that you expand the first 2 brackets separately, and then you get in the last bracket at the end. So you have x plus 2, and with x minus 3. So you're going to expand these 2 first. Expand these 2 first. Expand these 2 first. So, expand these 2 first. So x times x is going to be x squared. X times negative 3 is going to be negative 3x. 2 times x is going to be plus 2x. And then 2 times negative 3 is going to give us negative 6. And then you can simplify this to x squared minus x and minus 6. And now once we have done that, now we're going to put this together with this other bracket. So it's going to be x plus 4. And then this is going to be x squared minus x minus 6. And then what we're going to do is expand this out. So we're going to do x minus x times x squared is going to be x to the power of 3. X times negative x is going to give us negative x squared. X times negative 6 is going to give us negative 6x. 4 times x squared is going to give us plus 4x squared. 4 times negative x is going to give us negative 4x. And then minus 24. Once you have done that, you're going to simplify your answer. And the simplified answer is going to be x cubed plus 3x squared minus 10x minus 24. And that is going to be your simplified answer. Okay? That is a very, very easy 5 marks to get, literally. I think personally, the first half of the paper, you shouldn't be missing marks, literally. You shouldn't be missing marks on the first half of the paper. You're missing on easy marks. You cannot miss marks in the first half of the paper. Okay? Let's move on to our next question. If you don't understand, what we did is that first we expanded the first 2 brackets together, and then we simplified, and then we combined it with our last 3rd bracket and expanded that out. So, question number 15. A pet shop has 7 guppy, I don't know how to say that, something fish, 13 tetra fish, and 5 angel fish. David is going to choose one of the following combinations of fish: a guppy fish and an angel fish, or a tetra fish and an angel fish, or a guppy fish, a tetra fish, and an angel fish. Show that there is 555 different ways for David to choose his fish. So the first thing you have to do, you have to work out what's the possibilities of getting a guppy fish and a angel fish. Okay, to get a guppy fish, I do not know how to, I think that's a tongue twister, bro. So anyway, to get this G and A, it's gonna be the tetra fish and the guppy fish. So what we have to do, we're gonna do 7 times 13. 7 times 13. That's gonna be 7 times 5. So it's gonna be 7 times 5. Gonna be 35. That is a total combination of getting a angel and this fish, okay? And then we're gonna do the same thing with tetra fish and angel fish, which is going to be tetra plus angel. It's going to be 13 times 5, which is going to be 65 combinations altogether for the tetra and the angel fish. And then once you have done that, do the same thing with the tetra, angel, and whatever. Then it's going to be G plus T plus A. Multiply them together, so it's going to be 7 times 13 times 5. Multiply them together. Remember, you have a calculator, it's going to be 455 combinations in total. And now once we have done that, now do not forget, now we're going to have to add them together to show you that it's going to be 555 different ways. We're going to do 35 plus 65 plus 455, which will give you 555. And that is going to be your answer. Okay, and that's going to be your answer. 2 marks right there. Why do we add them together? It's because we have to show that there are 555 different ways for David to choose the fish. Yes, it is the product rule for counting. You multiply, it is the product rule for counting to get the total combinations of a specific thing. So, let's move on to our next question. So, So we have ABD is a cyclic quadrilateral. ABC and EDC are straight lines. Given an angle DBC is 60 degrees. Given that size of angle EAB to the size of angle BCD is 2 to 1, work out the size of angle BCD. So what we're going to do, it says we know that we'll write the size of angle EAB to the size of angle BCD is 2 to 1. So we're going to write BCD, we're going to label it as X. And then we know that angle EAB, this angle over here, has to be twice the amount of X. It has to be 2X. Okay? It has to be 2X because it has to be twice the amount of BCD. So now once we have done that, now we can start calculating some angles. So the first angle we can actually calculate is ABD. So we have angle ABD. So angle ABD, this angle over here, has to equal to 120 degrees. 120 degrees. Why? It's because we know that angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So angles on a straight line, angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. Just like that. So how do we know where to draw the angle ABD? So what it means is basically, so how do we draw this angle? It basically means ABD is basically B. So it's going to be the angle B over here. So ABD, the middle letter tells you what letter it is on, what angle the letter is on. Okay? So now once we've done that, now we can work out this angle over here. Does anyone know the circle theorem for this? It's going to be a circle theorem. What's going to be angle AED? In the chat, what's going to be angle AED? Is going to be 60 degrees. Well done. It's going to be 60 degrees. Why? It's because angles, so we know that opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180 degrees. Opposite angles on a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180 degrees. I think I definitely spelled quadrilateral wrong. I can never spell quadrilateral correct. But you know what I mean, right? It's quadrilateral. I can never spell it correct. So now, once you've done that, we know that we have to find angles in a triangle. We know the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. With the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees, right? So why is it 60 degrees? This is 60 degrees because you need to know a rule. You need to know a rule. We know that opposite angles on a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180 degrees. So this over here, this is a cyclic quadrilateral. So the opposite angles add up to 180 degrees. Okay? So now what we're going to do, we are now going to work out the value of our x. We know that in this triangle over here, the angles add up to 180 degrees, right? But look at this. We're going to look at the broader triangle, okay? Do not look at the small triangle. Look at this big triangle. I'm going to draw it right now. Look at this triangle over here. We're going to try to find the value of our x. This triangle over here. Look at that. Can you guys see that triangle, right? You can see that triangle. So these three angles, so 60 plus 2x plus x, has to equal to 180 degrees. So you have 60 plus x plus 2x has to equal to 180 degrees based on the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. And then it's going to be 3x is equal to 120 degrees. And then the x is equal to 40 degrees. And then our final answer is work out the sides of angle BCD. And BCD is equal to x, meaning that this is going to be 40 degrees. And that is going to be your answer. Easy for mark, guys. Easy for mark. You just need to know your angle rules, your circle theorems, and then you're good to go. Well done, guys, for getting that correct. And guys, do not forget to follow I Do Live every single day. I think we're halfway through the paper now. And for the people that are coming in late, I will post this live on my YouTube, so you can watch the replay if you want to. So let's move on to our next question. Question number 17. So there are 4 boxes on a shelf, A, B, C, and D. The total weight of A and B is 3 times the total weight of C and D. The weight of A is 2 to 3, and the weight of B, the weight of A is 2/3 of the weight of B, and the weight of C is 75% of the weight of D. Find the ratio of weight A to weight B to weight C to weight D. Okay? This is basically combining ratios, guys. Combining ratios. So, my YouTube channel is linked in my bio. Is linked to my TikTok. So if you go to my profile picture, you can just click on that. It's just Majestical Maths, the same name as my TikTok. You can subscribe there as well. And how many questions there are? I say there are 26 questions in total for this specific paper. Okay, so I'm going to quickly start this one. So, the first thing I'm going to do, we're going to work out the ratio of A to B. We're going to work out the ratio A to B. A to B. Now, we know that the weight of A is 2/3 of the weight of B. It says the weight of A is 2/3 the weight of B. So if this is going to be 2/3 of the weight of B, it's going to be does anyone know what's going to be the ratio A to B then? If it's going to be 2/3 of the weight of B, what's going to be our ratio? It's actually easier than you think. It's actually easier than you think. It's going to be 2 to 3, okay? Well done, Tom. It's going to be 2 to 3. Well done, Sarah. It's going to be 2 to 3. Okay? It's basically the numerator and the denominator, combine them like that, 2 to 3, okay? The numerator is going to be for A and the denominator is going to be for B. And now it's going to be the same for C and D, okay? We're going to do the same thing for C to D. We know that the weight of C is 75% of the weight of D. So we're going to convert 75% as a fraction. It's going to be 3/4. And now that's going to be as a ratio. It's going to be 3 to 4. Now, well done. We have done that. Now what we have to do, I'm now going to combine the ratios. To combine the ratios, we have to make it out of the same number of parts. Since there's no common letter in either of the ratios, we have to make it so that they have the same number of parts. As you can see, this ratio is made up of 5 parts altogether. Then this ratio is made up of 7 parts altogether. So what is going to be the lowest common multiple? We have to make them out of 35 parts, basically, okay? So we're going to multiply this one by 7 and this one by 5 to make them out of 35 parts, because that's going to be our lowest common multiple. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do 7 times 2 is going to be 14. 7 times 3 is going to be 21. And then we have 5 times 2 is going to be 15. And then 5 times 4 is going to be 20. And now once we have done that, now since they are out of the same thing, we can put them together, basically. You can put them together. Okay? You can put them together. And it's going to be 14 to 21 to 15 to 20. And that's just your answer then. Very simple. Now, since they're out of the same parts, you basically just got this. Now we made them out of the same parts. They are out of 35 parts now, so we can just combine them together. Okay, they're out of 35 parts. We can combine them together. That is just the rule that we can actually just use. That's a trick we can use. They're out of 35 parts now. We can combine them together. Let's move on to our next question. Can you do it in terms of algebra? I think you can do it, but I think you can just do it. Yeah, you can do it like that. You can use algebra to do it, but I just use the numbers. It's better. So actually, I think I missed a step. It says AB is 3 times total weight C. So you actually have to multiply by 3 after this one. So multiply by 3 this one. Multiply this one by 3. I missed a step. Here, I just looked at the mark scheme. So then when you multiply by 3, it's going to be 42 to 63. And then you combine them together. So sorry guys. Even I don't even read the question properly. I was actually busy looking at your messages. Then that will be your final answer, okay? That'll be your final answer. So, let's move on to our question. So shape A is reflected in the line with the equation x is equal to 2 to give shape B. Shape B is reflected in the line with the equation x is equal to x to give shape C. Describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape C. So basically what we have to do is you have to actually draw this visually, and then work it out, okay? No, you draw it visually. So when you draw it visually, I'm so bad at drawing this. But when you draw it visually, you're gonna get an answer of translation. So there's gonna be a translation transformation. It's gonna be translation. With translation by the vector 8, 0. Okay? So when you draw this out, you should get a translation of the vector 8 to 0. Now, they gave you a bit of space so that you can draw it out. They didn't give you the diagram on purpose because this is the higher paper. They would not give you the diagram, okay? It's only for the foundation people they give the diagram. For this specific paper, you draw it by yourself and then try to work it out, okay? So let's move on to our next question. Question number 19. It says there are only blue counters, red counters, and green counters in a box. The probability that a counter taken at random from the box will be blue is 0.4. The ratio of the number of red counters to the number of green counters is 78. So Samina takes at random a counter from the box. She records its color and puts the counter back in the box. Samina did this a total of 50 times. Work out an estimate for the number of times she takes a green counter. So the first thing we do is that we know that this ratio is out of 15 parts. Okay, this is 15 part ratio. Now this is the ratio of the number of red counters and the number of green counters. So we know that probabilities add up to 1. We know that the probability of getting a blue counter is 0.4. So to get the probability of getting a red and a green counter, you minus it. So it's going to be 0.6 for the green and red counters altogether. So then it's going to be 0.6. It's going to be the probability of getting a red and green counter. It's going to be 0.6 divided by 15 to get 0.04. And now once we have done that, now we're going to share this value. This is going to be one part of the ratio. Now we're going to share it among the ratio 7 to 8. We're going to do 0.04 times by 7 to get to 0.28. Then we're going to do 0.04 times by 8 to get to 0.32. And now once we have done that, we only care about the green ratio. This is our green ratio right here. We only care about this ratio over here. We only care about this one. So where did I get the 0.6 from? Is because we know that the probability of a blue counter is 0.4. So the probability of getting a red and a green counter is going to be 1 minus 0.4, which is going to be 0.6. Okay, remember, probabilities add up to 1. To work out the probability of getting a red and green counter all together, it's going to be 1 minus 0.4, which will be 0.6. And then lastly, well done Ayan, is going to be 0.32 times by 50, which you know is going to be 50 times. It's going to be 16, and that is going to be your answer, 16. This is a calculator paper, paper-free calculator paper. Okay. Let's move on to our next question. That was a pretty easy question. So the diagram shows the triangle ADE. We know that AE is equal to DE. So AE is equal to DE. So these two sides are equal. These two are equal. We know that AV to BC to CD is 1 to 1. So we know that AB, so AB to BC to B, this is 1 to 1. Prove that the triangle ACE, so ACE, is congruent to triangle DBE. It's a congruent question. So what we're going to do, first of all, we know that this is going to be an isosceles triangle. This is going to be an isosceles triangle. Since these two angles are equal, we know that since AE and DE are equal, so it's given in the question, we know that BAE, we know the angle BAE, so angle BAE is going to be equal to ADE or to CDE. CDE. So I'm going to write CDE. Okay, they're equal because angles angles on the base of an isosceles triangle are equal. Of an isosceles triangle is equal. So these two angles over here are equal. These two over here are equal. Now we've done that. And now we know that at AB, in the ratio, we know that AB, this length over here, we know that AB and CD are both equal in length because of the ratio. They are both equal length. We know that A to C and B to D are also equal then because they're a 3-part ratio. So going to be A. We know that A to C is going to be equal to B to D. It's already given. So I'm going to write given. It's given. And write both 3 parts of the ratio. And then now we have done that. What acronym are we going to write? What are we going to write? If there are 2 sides equal and then there's 1 angle equal, what are we going to write at the end? Does anyone know what we're going to write? If there are 2 sides equal and 1 angle equal, what are we going to write? Yes, it's going to be SAS. Well done. It's going to be SAS. Remember, S, A, and S. Therefore, it is congruent. This question was worth 3 marks. Well done. So, if you're confused, what I just did is that I just used my knowledge of triangles. So we know that isosceles triangles have a base of angles which are equal. So we know that these two angles are equal. Since these two sides are equal, and that it's going to be isosceles triangle. We also know that these sides are equal as well. That just makes them congruent to each other. Okay. Congruent means the same or similar or whatever. So let's move on to question number 21. So now I'm going to get to the hard questions now. What does SAS mean? It means the sides are that means that two sides are equal and one angle is equal. The S stands for sides, the A stands for angles. So in the two triangles, there are two sides equal and there is one angle equal. Okay. No, this is not the last question. I think we have 5 questions left. So it says the equation of a curve is y is equal to 4x squared minus 56x. The curve has one turning point. By completing the square, show that the coordinates of the turning point 7 minus 196. You must show all your working. So how do we complete the square? It's actually very, very, very easy. So the first thing you would have to do is that we have a coefficient. We know this y is equal to 4x squared minus 56x. We know that we have a coefficient in front of our x squared. So we have to divide by, first of all, divided by 4. So we're going to have, so actually we're not going to divide by 4. We're going to factorize out the 4. You cannot divide, You cannot divide, you have to factorize out the 4. So it's going to be y is equal to then 4, then x squared minus 56x. Okay? And now, okay, it's not going to be 56. We have to factorize out. So it's going to be 14 instead. 14x, like that. So now, once we have done that, once we factorize it out, yes, now we're going to half 14. When we're going to half 14, it's going to become y is equal to 4, and then a bracket in a bracket. There's going to be x minus 7 squared, and then what is it going to be? What is going to be our next number after our bracket? It's not going to be plus 49. It's going to be the opposite. Remember, whenever you're doing completed square, it's going to be minus 49. Remember, it's going to be minus 49, and then like that. Okay? Minus 49. And then once you've done that, now we're going to we're going to multiply our 4 back in. So we're going to have y is equal to 4x minus 7 squared minus 196. And now, once we've done that, now we can find our coordinates. Can you explain this bit? So basically, we just expanded our 4 back in. So we just do 4 times 1 minus 49, get minus 196, and then you just do 4, put it next to the bracket. So how do we get that? So when we have this, we have x minus 7 squared, right? We have x minus 7 squared. Now, guys, listen if you want to know why we have a negative 49 over here. So we have x minus 7 squared. This is the same as saying x minus 7 and then x minus 7, right? Expand the side, we're going to get x squared minus 49, not minus 49, x squared minus 14x plus 49. Now, as you can see, we have an extra plus 49. We do not want this. You do not want this extra plus 49 because you want to exactly get x squared minus 14x. So what we do, we minus it in this part over here, okay? You minus it on that part over there, okay? So that's like the mathematical reason why we do minus 49. Okay? And then now we can find out two values of our x and y. So the turning point is therefore going to be x is equal to 7 and y is equal to negative 196. And remember, when you're trying to find the turning point, the coordinates, or when it's in this form, it's just going to be this for the y-axis, and it's going to be the opposite, or like the opposite operation, the opposite sign of this number over here. Okay, this is completing the square. Completing the square. So we have question number 22. So we have some fractions, and it can be written in the form ax plus b over x squared minus 25, where a and b are integers. Work out the value of a and the value of b. You must show all your working. So it's just like the same as doing like normal fraction. You have to make the common, you have to find the common denominator. For this specific question, the common denominator is going to be, it's just going to be these two multiplied together, okay? It's going to be x minus 5 and x plus 5 multiplied together. It's going to be our common denominator, okay? Remember, we are going to have three fractions together, these two fractions. So first of all, if we're going to multiply this one by x plus 5, it's going to be 2x plus 3 and then x plus 5 over x minus 5. Remember, it's the same thing. Just imagine you are multiplying it with like normal fractions, but this is like the algebraic way of doing it with algebraic letters, okay? You find the common denominators by just multiplying these two denominators together. And then plus x minus 4, then x minus 5 over x minus 5 and x plus 5 minus 3 and then x plus 5 and then x minus 5 over x minus 5 and x plus 5. So basically what we did is that we just made them a common denominator. We made all the fractions to have a common denominator, and that common denominator is x minus 5 and then x plus 5. Okay? So give a thumbs up in the chat if you understand at this point. At this specific point, do you understand you know what I'm doing? Because when I finish the question, there's going to be some people that do not understand. So I want to go like, how to get 3x plus 5 is because since we are multiplying the denominator by x minus 5 and x plus 5, we're going to do the same with our numerator. Remember, we have nothing on the numerator for our 3. So we're going to do x minus 5 and x plus 5, and then we're going to do the same thing with our numerator. It's going to be our 3, and we're going to times it by that. Okay? So, any more questions? So now, once we have done that, now what we're going to do, now we're going to expand them out. How is the 3 there? It's because the 3 is there originally. That 3 is there originally is from, that is why it's there, okay? Just added the 2 brackets. So now we're gonna combine them together and expand them out, okay? So we're gonna expand this out. When you expand this out, you're gonna do 2x times x, we're gonna be 2x squared. 2x times 5 is gonna be plus 10x. Then 3 times x is gonna be plus 3x plus 15. And then once you have done that, now you're gonna expand this out. It's gonna be plus x times x is going to be x squared. X times negative 5 is going to be minus 5x. Minus 4 times x is going to be negative 4x. Then negative 4 times negative 5 is going to be positive 20. So basically I'm combining them all together. And then it's going to be minus 3. And then in brackets x squared minus 25. So expanded these two brackets together and put this as a ratio as I put the 3 out there. And then finally it's going to be over. Then you know that if you expand this out, you're going to get x squared minus 25. That is going to be your fraction, your numerator combined with the denominator. I think that's the longest fraction I've ever seen. That's a very, very long fraction. I think if you put that into your calculator, it's going to give you an error, right? If you put that into your calculator, it's going to give you an error. You can't just cross cancel it. No, I wouldn't cross cancel it because you're trying to write it in the form ax plus b over x squared minus 25, and as you can see, you want it to be as the denominator of you want the denominator to be x squared minus 25. So you do not want to cancel it out. So, and now once you have done that, now the most logical thing to do now is simplify the numerator. Simplify the numerator. It's going to be 3x squared plus 4x. I hope you should know how to simplify. Say plus 35 minus 3x squared plus 75 over x squared minus 25. And that is going to be your simplified numerator, half simplified. And then lastly, we simplify even more. As you can see, these 3x squared minus 3 is going to cancel each other out. We have 4x, then we have 3x plus 75 is going to be 100. We're going to have 4x plus 110 over x squared minus 25. So now, once you have done that, it says you have to work out the value of a and b. So what is the value of a and b then? What is the value of b and a? Looking at this form, if this is equal to ax plus b over x squared minus 25, we know that a is going to be 4 and b is going to be 110. And that is going to be your answer. So, well done guys for getting that correct. I do not know why this question is 3 marks. I felt like it should be like 5 marks, at least 5 marks. I do not know why it's 3 marks. Probably because it's a higher paper and they expect you to know this. I think when I did the foundation paper and this type of question came, it was 5 marks. It was 5 marks on the foundation paper. So, let's move on to our next question. So the graph of y is equal to fx is shown on the grid below. On the grid above of y is equal to, on the grid above, sketch the graph of y is equal to fx plus 2. Fx plus 2. So what we need to do now is basically add 2. So basically what we do is, since we're doing fx plus 2, you move basically back 2 spaces. So you move 2 spaces back. So from this point, you move 2 spaces back. So I'm going to move 2 spaces back to this thing over here. There. Move 2 spaces back. Remember, it's 2 spaces backwards. 2 spaces to the left. Well done, Jacob, for getting that correct. It's 2 spaces back or to the left. It's going to be over here. And then I think you should mark it into every single point. So over here, then at this point, it's going to be over here. Then over here. And mark it like that. So then now I'm going to draw this. I feel like my line is going to be horrible, but I'm trying my best. So then, like that. That's actually a good one. That's actually a good graph. It's a good graph. So what does it mean? It says we know that y is equal to fx is drawn in the grid. We know that y is equal to fx is drawn in the grid. We just have to draw the function of x plus 2. You just move 2 spaces backwards, okay? Just move 2 spaces backwards. That's what you do. You just move 2 spaces backwards. Just move the graph 2 spaces backwards, and that is how you would do it. I should say to the left, specifically, to the left. This is the year, I think, 2021. So basically what it means, yeah, is that why does it go back if you're adding? It's because it is in terms of x. This is the graph of x, okay? This is the graph of x. You want to work out what x plus 2 is going to be back, okay? This is how functions work. Do not ask me why are we moving backwards. I do not create functions, okay? You just need to know if you're adding, you're just going to move back, okay? So if you're subtracting, you're gonna move forward, okay? If you are if it was x minus 2, you are going to move up. You're gonna move to the right 2 spaces. It means function. This whole topic is called functions, okay? Functions. fx means the function. Functions. Yeah, basically this. It's basically the opposite. If it's in the bracket, it's gonna be the opposite. How does fx change the graph? So basically, fx can be anything. Fx can be anything. Fx can be a straight line. Fx can be anything. It just depends what the question tells you. X can be anything. As you know, x can be anything. Okay, x can be any number. It just depends on what the question says. So now it says on the grid, graph A has been reflected to give graph B. The equation of graph A is y is equal to gx. Write down the equation of graph B. This is the easy one. You should know this. This is inverted, right? So what is going to be the function of graph B? It's going to be the inverse. Okay, it's going to be the inverse function. So what are we going to write? It's a 1-mark question. You should know this. It's a 1-mark question. Inverse functions. You should know this in the chat. So it's going to be y is equal to minus. It's going to be minus gx. Minus gx. Okay? Going to be the inverse. Inverse is going to be the opposite. Okay? Minus gx. Because that is what it says. Y is the gx. It's because it says the equation of the graph is y is equal to gx. To work out the graph B, it's going to be the inverse. Okay? It's because it's reflected. It's going to be inverted. It's going to be y is equal to minus gx. This is the higher paper. Yeah, you're just doing the inverse, okay? So you want me to explain part A? So basically what you need for part A is that we know that the graph of fx is drawn for you. On the grid sketch, the graph of y is equal to fx plus 2. You have to move backwards, okay? In this case, you are moving backwards. Trust me, you have to move backwards. I double checked on the mark scheme as well. You actually have to move backwards. You have to move to the left. It's just how functions, that is how functions work. I'm just going to move on to the next question, guys. Yes, you just draw the graph 2 spaces to the left. Okay, just draw it to the you just draw it 2 spaces to the left. Okay. So we know we have a quadrilateral, so we know that FE is equal to A, and then ED is equal to B, and CD is equal to 2A. The point P is such that CP is a straight line, and CE is equal to EP. Use the vector method to prove that CF is parallel to DP. So it says that the point P is such that CEP is a straight line. So if CEP is a straight line, mean that P is going to be like this. It's going to be CEP. P is going to be here. It's going to be a straight line just like that. I mean that we know that CE is going to be equal to CEP. Okay, this is going to be equal to this. Now I'm going to use a vector method to prove that CF, so CF is equal to DP. DP is going to be from D to P over here. Okay? So now, first thing we're going to do, we're going to work out the vector CF. So the vector CF is going to be C to F is going to be 2A. This is going to be 2A minus B minus A to work out this specific vector over here. It's going to be equal to A minus B. Remember that. It's going to be A minus B. And now, that is going to be your vector CF. Okay? That's going to be a vector CF. So the vector CF is going to be 2A this minus B minus A to get this specific vector over here. Vectors can get a bit confusing when you have lots of vectors together, but you just need to know the vector rules. And now I'm going to work out the vector CE. So the vector CE, C is going to be from C to E, this vector over here. It's just going to be CF plus FE. So CF plus FE, which is going to be CF, we know that is A minus B, so it's going to be A minus B, plus FE, which is going to be A, it's going to be 2A minus B. So that CE is going to be 2A minus B, and then CF is going to be 2A minus B. And then, once we have done that, now we can work out the vector DP. DP is going to be the vector, DP is going to be the vector DE plus EP. It's going to be DE plus EP. And then we write this DE, we know it's going to be equal to B. Remember, it's negative B because we're going the opposite way around. Negative B plus 2A minus B. Remember, EP is going to be from E to P, is going to be 2A minus B. It's going to be equal to 2A minus 2B. And then finally, once we have done that, now we need to show that they are parallel. We need to show that CF is parallel to DP. So we know that CF is equal to A minus B. We know that DP is 2A minus 2B, sorry. That means they're parallel to each other. It's just because they are in the same direction, they are just enlarged by a scale factor of 2, okay? So they're going in the same direction, therefore they are parallel to each other. So it's a bit of a long question, but that's how you would do it. Okay? So it's a 4-mark question. Yes, you would factorize it down. So you can then over here you will write DP is equal to 2CF, okay? I'm going to write this, dp is equal to 2CF, is going to be 2 times CF. Or you can also factorize it out, so you can also write 2 factorized out, then A minus B. That will also be correct. Either way, it's going to be correct. You just have to show that they are parallel. Okay. Well done, guys. Give a thumbs up in the chat if we're ready to move on to our next question. Question number 25. And guys, do not forget to follow if you already haven't. I do live every single day, so you don't want to miss out. So let's move on to question number 25. So the pyramid P is formed from 2 parts made of different materials. Okay? The top part of P has a mass of 92.8 grams and is made from materials with a density of 2.9 grams per centimeter cubed. And now, the bottom part of P has a mass of 972.8 grams. The average density of P is 4.7 grams per centimeter cubed. Calculate the volume of the top part of P as a percentage of total volume P. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. You must show what you're working. So guys, normally at the end of the lab, I get a lot of voice cracks. It's because I've been talking for the whole lab. I've been literally talking for 2 hours straight. So you know I'm going to lose my voice. That's why I have water with me every single time. I have 3 bottles of water with me right now. 3 bottles. So, we know that to work out we have to basically work out the volume for the first top part of the top part. The missing thing is the volume, okay? The top part, the missing thing is the volume. We know that the formula for density. Who knows the formula for density? Who knows the formula for density? Density is equal to mass divided by volume. So we know that density is equal to mass divided by the volume. For the top part, we're giving the mass and the density, so we have to work out the volume for the top part. So we're going to work out the volume. So the volume is going to be equal to the mass divided by density. It's going to be 92.8. That's the mass over 2.9. Using a calculator, it's going to give us 32 centimeter cubed. And now that is our volume for the top part. That is the volume for our top part. And now, once we have done that, we do the same thing, but we're going to work out the total density. The total density. To work out the total density, it's going to be the total mass divided by the total volume. So to get the average density is going to be the total. To get the total density, it's going to be the total mass divided by the total volume. Now, the total mass is going to be 972.8, given the question, plus 92.8. Remember, the total density we know is 4.7. The average density is 4.7. We're going to work out the total volume. So we're going to do 4.7, which is the average density, the total density, over 92.8 plus 972.8 over the total volume. And now, once we have done that, now we're going to rearrange this quickly to get our total volume. I'm going to swap this around. Going to be the total volume is going to be equal to this 92.8 492.8 plus 972.8 over 4.7, and then the total volume, is going to be 226.72 centimeter cubed. Now that is our total volume, but that is not our final answer. We found the total volume, but we haven't found a final answer. Our final answer, it says to calculate the volume of the top part of B as a percentage of the total volume. So the volume of the top part, we know, is 32 centimeter cubed. It's going to be 32 over the total volume. The total volume is 226.72, and to write that as a percentage, you times it by 100. And when you times it by 100, you would get 14.1%, and that is going to be your answer. This was worth 5 marks. 5-mark question. 5-mark question. So, it is because for the final part, so you have to calculate the volume of the top part of P as the percentage of the total volume P. So the volume of the top part is 32 over the total volume, which is 226.72. Then you times it by 100 to get to a percentage. And then we have to find the total volume. That's why the total density is equal to total mass divided by total volume. Substitute our values in and then rearrange it to find the total volume. Why do we divide by 4.7? Is because when we substituted our values in, we got 4.7 is equal to 92.8 plus 972.8 over total volume. We need to work out the total volume to rearrange it so we have to divide the 4.7 when we rearrange it. Okay? Someone on your page. This is paper 3. I would recommend you do not choose paper 3, but you can if you want to. It's your choice. So now, question number 26. So we have a regular heptagon. What year will I do it? I would choose the hardest year. Okay? So you guys, you have 5 minutes. You actually have 4 minutes now to vote. So it says the area of the triangle is equal to 30 centimeter cubed. So the triangle ABG is equal to 30 centimeter cubed. Calculate the length of GB. So this over here, we have to calculate this length over here. Giving your answer correct to 3 significant figures. So the first thing we'd have to do, we know that interior angles, the sum of the interior angles in a triangle is given by n minus 2 times by 180. That is the sum of the interior angles. But we do not need to work out the sum of the interior angles, but instead, you want to work out what one angle is. We're going to divide it by the number of sides after that. Now I'm going to replace it by 7, since there are 7 sides. So we're going to do 7 minus 10, 7 minus 2 times 180, divided by 7 to get one side, which is going to be 128.6. So 128.6 is going to be your interior angle. One of the interior angles, so 128.6. So, and now, once we have got that, since this is a regular heptagon, we know that every single length is going to be equal. You do not understand why I did 7 minus 2. It's because I'm using the formula to work out the sum of the interior angles of a regular polygon. You do the number of sides minus 2 times it by 180. That's how you work out the sum of the interior angles. And now, since you're trying to find out, you're not trying to find out the sum, you're trying to find out one interior angles, you divide it by the number of sides, which is 7. N is the number of sides. Yes, you always multiply by 180 and you always subtract by 2 first. Okay, that is our formula to find the interior angles. So now, and then you get 128.6, and that's why I labeled it 128.6. Now we know, as I was saying, that in a regular shape, all of the lengths of the sides are equal. All lengths are equal. That means this is going to be equal. This is going to be equal. They are all equal, basically. They're all equal. Now, if they're all equal, then we know that this is going to be equal to this, and this is going to be equal to that. And now, to work out the length of this side, the green line that I just drew, we have to use our formula for the triangle. So does anyone know what formula we're going to use? The area of the triangle formula you're going to use that has the sign and the sign in it. What is the formula that has the sign in it to find the area of the triangle? So does anyone have you ever heard of half AB sine C? Yes, it's going to be half. It's going to be half, and then AB sine C is equal to the area, which is 30 centimeters cubed. That is the formula to find the area of the triangle if you do not know the length and the height. Okay? This is the formula to find the area of a triangle if you do not know the base and the height. Understood? If you do not know the base and the height and you're trying to find the area, use this formula because you know the angle instead. Okay? So now, once we have done that, what we're going to do, we know that's going to be, we're going to substitute our values in, we know it's going to be half, it's going to be AB, so it's going to be x squared, AB, these two sides multiply together, so A times A is going to be x squared, so x times x is going to be x, so remember this is going to be A, it's going to be B, x squared, and then sine, and then the angle 128.6 is equal to 30. Now we're trying to find the value of our x. Remember, we're trying to find the value of our x. This is paper 3. Do not forget to follow, guys. And then, rearrange to find the value of our x. We know that x squared has to equal to 30 over half sine 128.6. How do you know it is 128.6? Do you guys not remember that we worked out the angle? This is the angle. This is the angle of one of the interior angles of a regular heptagon. We basically use this formula to work out that one interior angle is worth 128.6. And I labeled it over here that the angle is 128.6 for every single angle on that regular heptagon. Okay? So, we got x squared. Now we have to then we know that x squared is going to be equal to 76.74. Then we know that x is equal to 8.76. 8.76 going to be your answer, but not yet. Now we got 8.76. We know that x is equal to 8.76, so we know that we're going to substitute it with these x's. Now each side is worth 8.